It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Welcome in, everybody. This is Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Today's episode, it is a Friday, so it is brought to you by footballcontest.com. If you want to enter any Vegas football contest this summer, go with the pros at footballcontest.com. Experience matters. So visit proxy.footballcontest.com. Use our promo code here at South Point Studio. It is SBTB. You'll get a special offer from Maddie and Tony. Looking forward to this episode. I'm Alex White. We're going to go through every baseball game, and we have to finish our preview.
Yeah. Good morning, Alex.
Good
Jeff
morning.
Parles here. It's it's the fun time of the month of July here. We're in the final week of it. Baseball is back in full swing, as you said, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are up today. Frank Nicotero, Sean, Chris Andrew. So many Pittsburgh people. So many Pittsburgh fans. So many of them.
I will say, for this time of July, really good shows this week. We had a lot covered. We had a loaded guest list, of course, regulars on Sports by the Book with Matt Neverett, Kenny White, and
don't forget Danny.
Danny Burke, our weekly regular. And then I'm always looking forward to talking to our guest today.
Yeah, the Peanut Gallery can help us out there. Duane Colucci joins us. There we go. Very good. Joins us in 25 minutes. Let's go to starting five out of the gate here. Sean, whoosh it across. There we go. We start in Philadelphia because, as we expected, Alex White, on July 26th, the two best teams in baseball by record are the Guardians and the Phillies. And they're playing each other today in Philadelphia. It is Christopher Sanchez against Ben Lively, actually Lively, a former Philly, making his return to Citizens Bank Park. Two best records in baseball, best records in each league, respectively, entering the final weekend of July. Phillies have been bet up all the way to $1.80 behind us, opened $1.65, so the market getting aggressive on the best team in baseball, the Phils, here today.
Interesting enough, neither of these teams are playing particularly well right now at this moment, but they do still hold the best records. Number 2 NL wildcard contenders meet for the first time this season. Pittsburgh and Arizona. Luis Ortiz will start for the Buccos. Zach Gallen on the mound for the Diamondbacks. D-backs minus 165 here at the South Point. Total 8.5 under 120. A trend here. Pittsburgh 8-2 in their last 10 games.
Playing good baseball, back in the mix in the National League wildcard race that has become very, very jumbled yet again, in part because of number 3. The Mets last night walk Atlanta off, and the Mets, who trailed Atlanta at one point this year by 10.5 games in the wildcard race, are a hearty half game behind entering today. The Mets carry the best record in the National League in the month of July after having the best record in the National League in the month of June, 14-7. And not only that, Kodai Senga makes a season debut today for the Mets. The Mets ace is a minus 132 favorite against Charlie Morton tonight at Citi Field.
Not looking good for the Atlanta Braves. You can still get plus money if you take them no to make the playoffs. Number 4, NL East rivals, Yankees and Red Sox. Nestor Cortez starts for the Yankees. Brian Bayo for the Red Sox. Yankees minus 114. Total 9.5 minus 115 in this one.
A little desperation for the Yankees, who not only just, again, out of the All-Star break have only won twice. They have the second worst record in baseball since June 13th. Only the White Sox, who are 27 and 77, have a worse record in that time.
Not good.
Than the New York Yankees. And then number 5, fresh off the no-hitter by Dylan Cease yesterday. The Padres just go north up the Beltway from D.C. to Baltimore to take on the Orioles. Grayson Rodriguez against Mazur, the pitching matchup here today. And Grayson Rodriguez is almost $1.90 at home. The Orioles not playing particularly good baseball either. They salvaged the final game in Miami yesterday, doing despite their best effort to lose a game they led 6-0 against the second worst team in the National League. So the Padres, again, second no-hitter in franchise history. Dylan Cease throwing yesterday, Alex.
A lot of fun to watch that one. I mean, 3 runs early for the Padres, and then really nothing happened as of late. And then I did see on a replay where he almost had a no-hitter. 1 out to go in the 9th.
Well, yeah, the last time he went that deep into a game, he was on the White Sox. It was against Minnesota, and Arez, who is now, of course, on the Padres, broke it up with 26 down at that point for Dylan Cease. That was also a weird game as well because that game, 8 minutes into the game, took a rain delay. So all 3 runs were pretty brutal if you had to know in the first inning and all 3 runs were scored in the first inning of that game after the rain delay. And honestly, quite fortunate for the Padres for the rain delay because if not, who knows? Might have been 0-0 and Cease might not have been able to finish that thing.
That's very true.
When it was all said and done. And that's your starting 5 here this morning. All right, Alex, let's hop into today. We'll start in the National League. As always, we go by Nevada rotation numbers. And we start in Queens. It's Kodai Senga Day for the first time here in 2024 for the Mets. Had a great rookie campaign a year ago, finished in the top 3 in NL Rookie of the Year voting. And Senga takes the bump for the first time today as a -132 favorite for New York against the Braves. 7-cent move, -125 to -132. Total's also been bet down from 8 to 7.5, Alex.
I understand that bet there, too. That is the way I would play this, is going under, like you mentioned about saying a good start last year. And then on the flip side, we got Charlie Morton for the Braves. So if they can just hold the Mets to a few runs, because it's not Atlanta's offense that we really have to be concerned with if you are betting an under here. It is New York, who has been hot. So I think that's the best way to play it. I haven't bet it yet, now that it has moved down to 7.5. Try and look for an 8 still out there, but I do like the under here.
The wild card standings in the National League are as follows, Alex. Atlanta at 54-47. That's a half game ahead of the Mets, who are 54-48. The Padres are a half game behind the Mets at 55-50. The Cardinals are a half game behind the Padres at 53-49. The Diamondbacks are a half game behind the Cardinals at 53-50. And the Pirates are a half game behind Arizona, who had 52-50. All those teams are separated by 2.5 games right now. Jumbled mess. Unlike the previous jumbled mess we remember talking about in May, there's a 3-game difference between the Pirates and the next team, who happens to be Cincinnati, Alex.
Should be a lot of fun here at the end of this baseball season to figure this out. I have to say, you would think that would give the Padres a little bit of a boost after having a no-hitter yesterday. We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see how they do. I mean, that is 5 games in a row for them, but they've been very streaky all year long.
We'll get that game a little later. Padres, of course, go to Baltimore today. Just a quick update real quick. The yes-no playoff odds, we said yesterday Atlanta was still, you're still laying north of $7 yesterday. That's not the case anymore. Down to $5 to make the playoffs. Still laying -500. Not surprising, but plus 380 on the no. I wish I was getting a little bit more, but with the way this is tightened up and the way that Atlanta has, we've talked about, just been battered by injuries, Alex. And really sitting down and watching them last night, they have 3-4 guys in Atlanta who aren't major league players right now. And that's something that that doesn't happen with how good this Brave team has been over the last few years. It just shows how badly injured they are right now.
You're right. It was 7-1, 8-1 on the no just a little bit ago. So you're not getting the best of the number, but still, I do think there is value there.
Right now, like I said, plus 380 DraftKings on the no to make the playoffs for the Atlanta Braves. All right, let's go to Milwaukee next. The Brewers, I just want to give the Brewers credit real quick. They're kind of just moving along, going about their business. They do lose Christian Yelich, who did not elect surgery. So he's just going to wait it out and hope that his spine injury works itself out. Off-season surgery still in play for Yelich. So we'll see. We'll see if Yelich is able to return this year and be effective if he is able to return. Milwaukee 6 games clear of St. Louis in the NL Central. They just have plodded along and been very consistent all year long. Brew Crew today, -220 with Freddie Peralta on the mound against the second worst team in the NL, the Marlins. Alex, you're looking at the total here. I'll just ask you, since we're now down to 7.5 behind us, there are still some 8s, though, in the market. The 8's still good, even though you're laying $1.20, right?
8's still good. That's what I did. I bet under 8 here for these two. Now, I do want to mention their trends are towards the over here. Okay. Milwaukee, 56.3% to the over. Offense is 8th in scoring. And then Miami, 55.5 to the over, of course, because their lack of pitching and defense. So that's more from the other teams. But with Milwaukee, Yelich isn't their first injury. They have kind of been piling on. So I think this is a good spot to jump in on the over. Lefty Trevor Rogers for Miami leads his team in innings pitched, 4.59 ERA, 4.36 FIP. Last 3 starts, opponent batting average just 241. Rogers also hasn't been charged with more than 2 runs in any of his July starts, so he has been getting better. On the flip side, I really like Freddie Peralta, 3.88 ERA, 3.55 FIP. Held 5 of his last 6 opponents to fewer than 5 hits and only 1 scored run in more than 3 of those. So going with the under here, like Jeff mentioned, though, I mean, get the best number. You'd rather push here, pay a little bit more, but then lose your bet outright.
Yeah, once you get into the 7s, it's tough. Just any way to look at unders, unless if it is a truly elite pitching matchup, which this is not. This is not. You have one guy who's been excellent this year, but Rogers has been mediocre at best, and that might even be polite to what Trevor Rogers has been here in 2024. All right, let's go to Arizona next. You mentioned this in the starting 5, Alex. These are 2 teams that are on the outside looking in for the NL wildcard chase, but they're only a game and a half behind that final wild card of San Diego right now, respectively. It's Luis Ortiz against Zach Gallen today. Alex, this one kind of stood out to me because I think the price is too good to pass up on Pittsburgh here. Ortiz, great start last time out against the Phillies. Shut down the best offense in the National League over 7+ innings. Plus 152 against Arizona, especially where Zach Gallen has not been Zach Gallen of old recently. They did win his start on Saturday in Chicago, but Gallen really fought it through 5 innings, walked 5 guys. The Cubs just couldn't convert because the Cubs offense just has not been good this year. I'm surprised this number is staying in the plus 150 range. I think even down to plus 145, this is still good on Pittsburgh, especially at plus 152.
To your point about Zach Gallen, so was fortunate in that Cubs game. His last 2 home starts were not good either. 12 runs allowed in 9 innings pitched. Home ERA, though, still 3.35, so not terrible. There is value here with Pittsburgh. It's unfortunate because it has been bet already. Saw plus 160 last night, and that was a lean for me. So I haven't done anything yet, but that would be a Pirates or pass.
Right now, the best number in the market is actually it's circa plus 155, so not too far off from that plus 160 that was available. Based off my screen, not available for very long on the plus 160. So bettors hopped on that in those openers last night.
Probably a more reliable dog here at plus 152 or 155 than the one I'm going to give you today. So I'm not mad about that at all. If you want to take a shot on the Pirates.
Look, self-awareness is important in this business, right? Speaking of your dog, let's go there next. The Rockies. Yeah, that's where we're looking now. Colorado goes to San Francisco. The Giants will throw Kyle Harrison. There'll be Kyle Freeland, who has had his struggles this year for Colorado. Plus 155 behind us. There are some plus 160s out there on the Rockies. A total of 8. That total actually seemingly is stabilizing at 8 right now after being a 7.5 at some shops earlier in the morning.
So I haven't looked at the first 5 yet because that may be a better play here on the Rockies.
Plus 136 is the best number out there right now.
I do like that. I think I'll go with the Rockies first 5. I don't mind the full game here, but I'd rather avoid the bullpen altogether because the Rockies bullpen has not been good. This is kind of a play on the number. I think this price is too big. This minus 170 on the Giants full game. Giants are 2-5 in their last 7. They lost 2 of 3 to Colorado just last week. And then we have Kyle Harrison, who is due for some regression. His last 3 opponent batting average, 273. Last 3 expected FIP, 5.79. Also has a 12.9 walk rate against this current Rockies team. So I know on the flip side, Freeland isn't that great of a pitcher here, but he has allowed only 4 total runs in the last 3 matchups, dating back to last season against Giants. So going with the Rockies, this is my dog of the day.
Freeland has been much better of late, at least this year, because remember, he had first start of the year and that opening Thursday gave up 10 earned in in 2 innings, 2 1/3, only recorded 7 outs. It takes a lot of work to get the ERA down.
Yes.
But over his last 5 starts, his ERA is sub 2. So he has gotten much better. Now, there's some luck involved, sure, but he also pitched well against the Giants 6 days ago. And as you said, the last few years has pitched well. I've seen the Giants a lot because of the NL West. But I think I'm with you with leaning closer to the first 5 than the full game. If you're going it here, don't have to worry with that horrible Colorado Rocky bullpen if you go first 5 with Freeland. And also Harrison's starting to hit a wall a little bit as well on the San Fran side.
Can't forget, too, the Rockies are coming off a series win against the Red Sox, and we'll get to that game here soon. But 20 runs on 21 hits in the season finale, so they can just keep that going just a smidge offensively. I think we'll be okay.
Colorado went from getting shut out on Tuesday to putting 20 up. They missed the PAT on Wednesday in a 20-7 win against the Red Sox.
The best part about that is I liked the over in that game and didn't trust the Rockies, so I took the Red Sox team total over.
Still got there, though.
Barely. 9th inning. Some useless runs there to get us home, but could have just easily taken that full game over.
Let's go to Detroit next. Minnesota taking on the Tigers. Pablo Lopez and the Twins are minus 175 favorites. Montero on the other side, plus 160 on Detroit. As you look at Minnesota, Alex, we've talked about the Twins. Danny Burke has come on and said, hey, I put a future on them to win the World Series in the American League. Minnesota entering today 4.5 games behind the Cleveland Guardians in the American League Central.
This would be a play for me on the Twins. I just don't love that price at minus 175. Do you have to mention, Sean has been tracking for us, Detroit covering the run line in 7 of their last 7. But there's a huge pitching advantage here, starting pitcher to the Twins with Pablo Lopez. So it would only be a Twins play for me in this one.
Tigers have been an underdog in all those games that you mentioned as well. So that plus 1.5 has been good for Detroit. All their losses have been by 1 run out of the All-Star break. That's a pretty nice anomaly, I would say, more so than anything. But, I'm with you in the fact that if this was like $1.60, we'd be all in on Minnesota. But, hey, the market, of course, knows that as well. So minus 175 on the Twins. Let's go to a game you mentioned in the starting 5. That's the Yankees and the Red Sox. At one point, the best rivalry in baseball. Maybe not the same juice as it had about 10 years ago now. Cortez and Bayo today, minus 114 behind us on the Yankees on the road. We've documented the Yankees' struggles. Second worst record in baseball since June 13th. Worst record in the American League, period, since June 23rd. Making that even closer. The White Sox are actually better than the Yankees since then. Still in first place in the wild card chase, though. Second and only a game and a half behind the Orioles, who continue to struggle right now, Alex.
I think this is a good price to jump in on the Yankees, and I know they've won 1 of their last 5 games, 1 of their last 6, I believe. Nestor Cortez, really good pitcher, though. 1.16 whip, batting average of opponents in the last 3 games, 244. So just think there's a pitching advantage here, and maybe the Yankees can figure some things out. I know it's still a struggle with that lineup. I mean, they need some more guys to get some hits besides Judge and Soto, but 114 with the Yankees here, Cortez on the mound. I think that's it's more a play on the number.
It's both of these teams have not played well out of the All-Star break. The Red Sox got swept in L.A. and lost 2 out of 3 to Colorado as well. So this has been 2 teams going the wrong direction out of the All-Star break. Real quick here, you want some fun here? This is from Hembo, who of course we've heard on from ESPN. He's been on with Frank in the past.
Get Up.
Yes, Get Up. Also helps Greeny as well on his ESPN radio show. How shallow is the Yankee lineup? This is from yesterday. Yankees were off yesterday. Their cleanup / leadoff hitters this year are slashing so batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage in order. They're hitting 215. Their on base percentage is 273. Their slugging is 345. awful numbers all the way across. This is the worst batting line, which is the OPS is 618. So on base plus slugging by any team's leadoff and cleanup hitters in the last 30 seasons.
Wow.
That's how bad it's been for the non-Judge Soto premium Yankee hitters. And that's even with Stanton mixed in there as well, who was actually producing a little bit.
Yeah.
That's how bad those guys have been without Giancarlo. Again, I don't think it's a coincidence the Yankees have gone in the tank since Giancarlo got hurt. I really don't. They need some protection behind Judge, or teams are going to do what the Mets did on Tuesday night, not throw him a strike unless they absolutely have to at this rate. I want to fit one more game in here, and then we're going to go to our guy, Duane Colucci. It's not the most exciting game, Alex, but the Mariners, who are floundering right now, will go take on baseball's worst, the White Sox, with George Kirby, who has been awesome by any stretch of the imagination. Minus 160 on Kirby. Total is 7. Mariners also traded for Randy Arozarena last night with Julio Rodriguez and J.P. Crawford going on the 10-day IL earlier in the day. So, Alex, are we taking George Kirby on the road? Are we trusting Seattle to score at least 3 runs in this game to probably be enough against that horrible White Sox lineup?
I haven't done it yet, but it would be Mariners or nothing for me in this one. I was actually debating about tying up the Twins and the Mariners, but that's sounded a little risky today. I've had a good week. I didn't know if I wanted to end it here. But, yeah, I mean, George Kirby, he doesn't walk guys. 2.6% walk rate here. Not an elite strikeout guy either, but he is consistent. And in his last few starts, he's had 6+ in 7 of his last 10. So that might be a way I look at it instead of laying this big price. Maybe just a George Kirby prop bet. Check out his strikeout props.
So 7. So 7.
Especially because Chicago's second highest strikeout against right-handed pitchers in the last 3 weeks as well at 26.9. So 7 is tough.
I think it's still probably okay with that White Sox lineup there today. Again, Mariners minus 160.
And we could throw up our graphic here because this is been one of the third best pitchers park this season.
Guaranteed rate?
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Guaranteed rate, of course. There you go. Seattle, you see T-Mobile Park up in Seattle has been clearly the best pitcher's park. I think that has to do with a few things on top of just the park factor. But the White Sox guaranteed rate currently this year, 94, which is low. The lower the number, the better the pitcher's park. The higher the number, the better the hitter's park is. Of course, all these numbers courtesy of Baseball Savant. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, Duane Colucci joins us next. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Have you always wanted to enter the biggest and best football contest in Las Vegas, but didn't know where to start and who to trust? Look no further than footballcontest.com to get the info you need to succeed, including breakdowns of the most popular and highest-paying football contests in the world, such as the Westgate Super Contest, Circus Sports Million, and Circus Survivor. Plus, find out how you can reserve the most trusted proxy in the business right now at footballcontest.com, as Maddie and Tony have been leading the way for over a decade with more than $10 million in winners during that time frame. All you need to do is find a way to get to Vegas sometime this summer and sign up for these football contests in person. Then let Maddie and Tony do the rest. They will submit your picks for you and help you focus on doing what you do best, picking winners. Don't miss out on the action this upcoming football season. Experience matters. So go with the pros at footballcontest.com. That's footballcontest.com.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, alongside. As always, we're thrilled to be with you. And we're thrilled to bring in this guy who we see every Friday here on the show. He runs the race at Sportsbook up at the Rampart in lovely Summerlin. Our good friend, Duane Colucci, with us right now. Duane, good morning. Good to see you, as always.
Good morning, guys. Pleasure to join you, as always. You know that.
So, Duane, I want to kick things off. Just going through some individual baseball games real quick, because it's very rare that we happen to see the two teams with the best records in each league play each other this deep into the season. And as we all expected, Cleveland and Philadelphia is that matchup that we get. If it was going to be this weekend, a lot of people had said, oh, it would have been the Dodgers and the Astros. No, it's Cleveland and Philadelphia here this weekend. At least today, the market has bet Philadelphia here, Duane, with Christopher Sanchez on the mound. But as we talked about, Duane, you can take this for today's game or just macro-wise. Two teams that we expected Philly to be good. We did not expect Cleveland to be anywhere remotely close to this going into 2024.
Yeah, 61 and 41 is amazing. I'll be honest with you guys. I can't believe they're 20 games over 500. And you have a marquee matchup today. So, definitely we're going to see some Philly action, the home team. You have Sanchez, like you said, but Lively's been okay. He's got, a solid whip. He's, I believe, 2 games over 500, 119 whip. Not too bad. Definitely one of their better pitchers and one of their pleasant, surprises this year as the whole team has gelled and really stayed consistent. And it's been shocking to me. The division has been tough. I mean, Kansas City started off really well. Minnesota has been consistent, but then you have teams like the White Sox that are around that. So, it's shocking to me. We knew Philadelphia was going to be really good. They have a real nice lineup, some great pitching, and they're really performing at a high level, actually outperforming the Dodgers in the National League. So, this is a marquee matchup. We're expecting great handle at the Rampart and South Point on this one. Most of the games are later today. 3:40, I believe, is the first start. Mm-hmm. And we'll anticipate a lot of action on this matchup. This is one of the better matchups on the card today.
Duane, you were shaking your head when Jeff was giving the numbers for the Yankees cleanup hitter this year. Today, they take on the Boston Red Sox, who has actually been struggling as well. Yankees minus 114, of course, the best lines at the Rampart and the South Point, because if you like the Red Sox, you can get plus 104. If you like the Yankees, you're laying the shortest price. Any thoughts you think New York can get right in this series against their rivals?
I don't know, Alex. I mean, is Devers going to come with that hot bat? I mean, he's lethal against the Yankees, and you got Cortez, who's been horrible. The Yankees have just fell into a rut. Jeff is completely right. Once Stanton went down, that started a chain reaction, and the Yankees have not played very well, at all in the last, I would say, 40 or 50 games. Their record is horrible. So the Red Sox are very hungry. They're trying to catch the Yankees, and they definitely have a chance. You have a wild card position that is up for grabs here, Alex. So this is definitely a marquee matchup. Cortez has a 4 ERA. He's been horrible. I think the Red Sox are actually going to win this series. I mean, the Mets took it right to them. The Mets are playing with great heart and soul, as well. And when you're able to sweep a Subway series that is so big in the city of New York, and the Mets played exceptionally well. It was unbelievable how they were just able to take control of that series. And the Yankees just can't find themselves. I mean, just don't pitch to Aaron Judge. Just like Jeff said, it's an easy formula. Soto's going to get you here and there, but those are the only 2 guys that are carrying lethal sticks. I mean, Volpe, he's in and out at times. They need Stanton desperately in that lineup. I was surprised that they didn't go really make a trade and try and get Arizona there. I thought the Dodgers as well, but, Seattle definitely needed that maneuver because of the injuries like we touched upon earlier in the show. So, I like the Red Sox in this series. I could see us taking some Red Sox money just because the Yankees are going in a backwards trend. And a lot of players or consumers, when they're betting on baseball, they love the trends, and they're definitely going to start backing against the Yankees because they're often inflated by us bookmakers.
Duane, you brought up the Mets in the middle of that. The Mets have the best record in the National League in the month of July after having the best record in the National League in the month of June. And they get their ace back today. Kodai Senga returns for his first start of the 2024 season. And, I will say, with all these games going on, you get teams in bits and pieces. After watching Atlanta last night, it is amazing how big of a shell of what they have been they are right now. With all these injuries, with playing, I mean, you've guys, the bottom 4 of that lineup are not major league hitters. When they're healthy, they're the best lineup in baseball. Mets are minus 132 today, and quite frankly, Duane, I would expect that to continue to go up, especially with the ace returning for New York.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. I mean, you could see Atlanta is struggling, massive injuries, and not nearly what they were last year or in previous years. You touched upon it perfectly, and Lindor's he's been on fire. I mean, he's homering from both sides of the plate. Alonso is playing with a lot of heart. So the Mets are definitely a team to watch, and Nimmo and McNeil really aren't really stroking it that great. But once they start to hit, forget about it. The Mets are going to be very tough. I think they can make a wild card, one of those positions without a doubt. And now you get Senga. I anticipate a lot of handle on the Mets today. You're 100% right. Atlanta cannot score runs. That's what's been the problem. And these guys are minor league hitters. They're not ready for the major leagues. They're pushed into a situation because of these injuries, and they're playing against a juggernaut right now in the New York Mets. Best record in July. Unbelievable, performance. Well managed right now. They worked out all the kinks. The grimace is roaring, and it definitely was. It's so funny how a character from, McDonald's, Burger King, they come out, throw a first pitch, and all of a sudden the Mets are winning 30 out of 40. So it's amazing. Credit to the Mets. They're playing great. Took it to the Yankees. I think they're going to take it to the Braves today. Senga's going to be a one-way elevator. It's going to go up to 140, 150, I would anticipate, at the Rampart and South Point. So we'll be rooting for the Braves, but the Mets are going to be tough to beat in this one.
Alex, Duane, the Mets are only playing at a 114-win clip since the grimace threw out the first pitch. That's a nice 707 win percentage over the last month plus for the Mets.
As long as he keeps showing up to the games, I think they'll be okay. Duane, one matchup we haven't got to yet. I'm interested on your thoughts here. Gavin Stone and the Dodgers go to Houston. We've got Framber Valdez, who has been very good for the Astros. They are a minus 120 favorite here. Total 8.5 under minus 120. Where do you anticipate this line moving?
I think, Alex, it'll probably go both ways. I mean, this is a great series. Dodgers were playing good against the Giants. Ohtani, hit a homer yesterday. They have a fabulous lineup. They're just waiting for Mookie to get back. It was great to see Kersh back. I'm a Dodger guy, so, I'd love to stick it to the Astros. Stone, 9-3. His ERA is solid. It's in the 3 range. A pleasant surprise for the Dodgers. They have to get this staff healthy. Buehler has to get healthy. That's very important. Kershaw, you're seeing him come back. But it was a tough series against the Giants, and that's an arch rival, and now you are traveling to Houston. So, Alex, I'm thinking we're going to get some good both two-way action there. We have a lot of Dodger fans here at the Rampart and the South Point that back them regardless and feel that they are the best team in baseball. But sometimes, like I touched upon with the Yankees, they're inflated. They are the best team on paper in the National League, but let's see them perform. They have a lot of injuries. Taylor went down the other night. Like I said, Betts, you got to get Buehler back. The bullpen is very suspect. So this is going to be a great series and a measuring stick for the Dodgers, who came out really hot after the All-Star break, sending messages to the Red Sox and their arch rivals. Very important series for the Dodgers, but it's been a very tough schedule, Alex, since the All-Star break. So we'll see if the wear and tear takes its toll. Traveling to Houston, good two-way action, maybe a little more Houston action I'm anticipating because of the travel, but a great series nonetheless.
Duane, I want to keep it with a team in the NL West, but go a little bit more east of where they are today with Baltimore and the Padres. Of course, Padres coming off of their second no-hitter in franchise history yesterday with Dylan Cease throwing it just due south there in D.C. Today, they have a big pitching disadvantage with Mazur going. Grayson Rodriguez goes for Baltimore. The touch $2 market came back a little bit on San Diego, now minus 185 on Baltimore, Duane. And I'll just ask you from a behind the counter perspective, the day after a team throws a no-hitter, do people come in and bet that team again, or do they look to fade them saying, hey, off an emotional high, looking to go the other way?
Mostly the sharps, Jeff, look to fade. I'll be honest with you, just because it is an emotional high, like you said. The normal consumer is going to try and back them just because you're seeing the 2-to-1 price. But this is a massive pitching disadvantage for the San Diego Padres, 12-4 versus a guy with an 8 ERA. So I definitely think we're going to see some Baltimore run line action here, even though they had their first no-hitter, in a long time. Jeez, unbelievable. It was a great performance. I think we're going to get a lot of the sharps that are fading. That's why you're seeing this jump up to the 2-1 range. I think the Orioles will be the right side here. San Diego's been up and down all season. We'll see if they could level out and finally, make a rush to the playoffs and maybe a wild card position. But, 5 games over 500 against 20 games, and a team that excels at home, a very young team. The Orioles are hungry. They're playing great baseball, and they've been consistent all year. Whereas, like I said, the Padres are up and down. So I like to fade personally after a no-hitter. That's my opinion, and I think a lot of the sharps will. But we're going to have some San Diego backers, without a doubt. Good two-way action after it levels out, but the initial reaction will be Orioles.
I want to move to college football. It's been a busy week with baseball, so I haven't really checked the lines. I know you and Jeff talked last Friday, so that's when we got the 100 games of the year in college football. We had our special here. How has the action been at the Rampart since that first initial push last Friday where we saw a few games with some big line moves?
Yeah, definitely, Alex. You saw the BYU action. You seen Washington State. Some of those games were really hammered. We had 3-point moves at, and that's merited on both sides at the South Point and the Rampart. Everybody's betting at once, and you do have to move these lines, accurately. But it's leveled out a little. That's mostly, Alex, the sharps line up. They're like sharks. I said it before. They're ready to go. They want to attack if they feel that, Chris and his team and myself have a line out of whack. So, definitely the initial action is amazing when we open that up. And, Chris had a nice limit on these games, $2,000. I mean, it's just amazing. And we put up 100 games in a year. Chris does an awesome job. We're starting to see now a little leveling out on the action, but you saw some of those initial line moves were amazing, Alex. But a great job by Chris, as always. We'll leave it out the books, and we'll have a great college football season. I can't wait. I'm going on vacation to Del Mar, and I walk right into it, into the fire. The college football season. We're really excited about it. It's going to be immense. We're going to have some great handle. Chris also has the prop there with Georgia and Ohio State, which is another phenomenal prop. You see the bear, he's tweeting it out, and everybody is excited because Chris Andrews knows what to do. He knows how to market and bring business into the Rampart and South Point. So, Alex, people still have opinions. You have all those great matchups. People don't know what to do with Alabama. They are on both sides of the fence because you don't have Saban now, and some of those games, definitely we're seeing some great two-way action, especially against teams like Georgia, just because of the fact that normally people back Alabama blindly, but you don't have that this year. You have realignment in some of these conferences, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm anticipating a great college football season, and we have to be sharp as bookmakers because we're going to take action, and if we slip up, we know the sharps are going to pound us, whether it's on our mobile app or across the counter. So, definitely it's going to be great, and a great job on those games of the year.
Duane, before we let you go, we're finishing the AFC North today in our NFL previews with the Steelers here today. Just from your perspective, I know Vinny has said that this is his highest power-rated division. This is a very strong division. Where do you come down on the AFC North going into the 2024 season, Duane?
Well, I kind of agree with Vinny, but we have to watch the injuries. I mean, you're already seeing Russell Wilson hurt, Lamar Jackson hurt, Deshaun Watson coming off a massive surgery. And you do have Joe Burrow, who is finally Cincinnati announced healthy. So I'm looking to pound Cincy early. I think as long as you're healthy and you have Joe Burrow, you're going to be the measuring stick, even though Baltimore is there with Lamar Jackson and Henry. We'll see how much he has left in the tank. We'll see if Lamar is going to be healthy for that opening week. He's going to sit out the whole preseason without a doubt. I mean, if he takes one series, that would be phenomenal. Harbaugh was he looked a little panicky in that press conference yesterday, but I know he has confidence in Lamar. It's going to be a great, great division and a great divisional race. We're going to see that dogfight between, Russell Wilson and Fields. So it's going to be interesting to see who the starting quarterback is coming out in Pittsburgh. Tomlin is a great coach. Keep that in mind. I know we're in Pittsburgh country over at the South Point, whether it's Chris, whether it's Jimmy. These guys want to see how the Steelers play and want them to succeed. I'm not so sure, though, in that division. They better have that quarterback, situation rectified by the start of the season, and you've seen Russell already went down. So it's going to be difficult to, say that that's the best conference in the AFC just because of the injuries, and we'll see how Watson performs as well coming off that major surgery. So it's very hard to, measure that division.
I know this is an annual Del Mar trip for you. Is that right?
Yes, Alex, definitely. I go each and every year, and I really enjoy it. I love the pony, so we're really excited to get out there. I'll be going mid-August, so, come and see me at Del Mar if you're there. I'll be roaming around the paddock area. I sit up on the balcony overlooking the paddock area. I'm easily accessible, and any questions, anybody, any picks they could share with me. I'm always looking to make money as well. So, I'm great at the horse handicapping, but I'm no massive expert. I could always use a few extra bucks, Alex.
Very good. Any traditions or superstitions that you have when you get there?
I'll be honest with you. I try to get to the track a little earlier so I could get some of the Saratoga action. I'm not very superstitious. I've been gambling on horses, Alex, since I was basically able to walk. I've always had an opinion. My first venture was I would always bet on number 5 because that was my basketball number and that's my favorite number. But then I started to acclimate into, jockeys, trainers, different pedigrees, breedings, and Ralph will tell you, it's such a complex sport, but yet if you get a grip on it, it's very handicapable. It's fun. It's the only sport that gives you odds. Even though the odds have been, misconceived because they're still moving as the horses run, you still are able to make a large amount of money off of a $5 wager if you hit a superfecta or a trifecta, Alex. So it's one of the greatest sports in America. I know it's on a downswing, but we're trying to promote it to the younger gambler. We want to get all those young kids involved and show that it's an exciting sport. You have your action in a minute to 2 minutes. So, you're determining whether you're winning and losing very quickly as well. It's quick action, just like in-game wagering, which I know is what the youngsters love. So we're trying and promote it as much as we can at the Rampart and South Point. We're one of the few 2 properties that still promote horse racing. Chris loves it, and I love it. And a lot of places in Las Vegas are going away from horse racing, and it's disappointing because it is just a fabulous, fabulous sport. And this time of the year is the best time, Alex, when you're dealing with Saratoga and Del Mar, the best East Coast and West Coast meets in America, all during July and August into Labor Day. It's just fabulous.
He's Duane Colucci. Get him on the tweets at NYBookie. Duane, of course, race and sportsbook director up at the Rampart in Summerlin. Colucci, always a pleasure. We'll see you again. We'll see you again soon. And of course, we know you have your trip coming up. So you and the entire city of Las Vegas will be descending on Del Mar soon enough.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a lot of fun and a blast. And check out my tweets because I'll have a few hot horses here and there.
Absolutely.
Very
Duane
good.
Colucci, everyone. We'll always love chatting with him on a Friday. All right, when we get back, we're going to go to the Steelers. And I've been informed of some baseball trend that's very interesting, Alex, that I was not aware of until right before Duane came on the air. So I have to bring that up when we get back here on Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Duane, thank you as always.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Have you always wanted to enter the biggest and best football contests in Las Vegas, but didn't know where to start and who to trust? Look no further than footballcontest.com to get the info you need to succeed, including breakdowns of the most popular and highest-paying football contests in the world, such as the Westgate Super Contest, Circa Sports Million, and Circa Survivor. Plus, find out how you can reserve the most trusted proxy in the business right now at footballcontest.com, as Maddie and Tony have been leading the way for over a decade with more than $10 million in winners during that time frame. All you need to do is find a way to get to Vegas sometime this summer and sign up for these football contests in person. Then let Maddie and Tony do the rest. They will submit your picks for you and help you focus on doing what you do best, picking winners. Don't miss out on the action this upcoming football season. Experience matters. So go with the pros at footballcontest.com. That's footballcontest.com.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, as always. We're going to get to the Steelers in a second, but before we get the football on fire, we have to also say, of course, Friday show, as always, as Alex mentioned in the open, and as you just heard Frank Nicotero so elegantly put, always brought to you by footballcontest.com. Make sure you go to the website and get that promo code going, SBTB, to take advantage of a great offer over at Football Contest, the best proxy service there is here, getting you ready for all the great contests here in Las Vegas. All right, real quick, baseball-wise, Alex, I know you like trends, but I know you like even more ridiculous trends. This is from Roy Wood Jr. He said this on the Levitard show earlier today. Since 2008, on the same day as the Summer Olympic opening ceremonies, so we have 08, 12, 16, and 21. Technically 2020, but it happened in 21. So four day sample size.
Okay.
Small, but it's not one. 2 baseball teams have always won, and 2 baseball teams have always lost. Okay? The winners are 2 teams we actually said we liked today.
Oh, great.
And that is Minnesota, who we both said if the price was a little better, we both would have been on. And the other one is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. Okay.
So, dog favorite there. The teams that have lost you're going to love this because 3 of 4 games we mentioned today are involved. Teams that are winless on opening ceremony days now, this would be 4 straight Summer Olympics, are the Texas Rangers, who we did not mention at all. They play the Toronto Blue Jays today. And the San Francisco Giants, who you were on, their opponent, the Colorado Rockies today. So we didn't even need to know the trend to be on the right path here, apparently, Alex.
I'm not mad about that at all. And I'm glad you brought it up because that is a fantastic trend. I'm sure Ryan was listening. They might have to use that on Punchlines as well because they're really good about throwing in those random days of the year kind of trends that, only happen every 4 years, something like that.
Look, that is, again, tread carefully. It's four games sample size, but it is pretty good. It is pretty good. It is pretty funny that we landed on 3 of the 4 and actually landed on the right sides of both of those.
Especially because $1.60 underdogs, 2 of the 3 were on our list today that fall into that.
It's pretty funny. By the way, if you're in the chat, we see you. Don't worry. Dean had a question during Duane's thing. We just had to confirm with the boss to make sure of the answer to this. Dean asked, If I make a bet at the South Point, can I cash the ticket at the Rampart? And the answer is yes, you can. Yes, you can. And that would go the inverse of that as well. If you placed a bet at the Rampart, you could cash it behind us here at the South Point. Of course, all within the Gone Gaming family. So thank you for the question, Dean. Of course, I know Keith is in the chat as he always is, wrecking havoc. JR from the ballpark, always with some fun comments in there as well. And then Jerry's back. We like Jerry. Jerry got Frank with something I'm stunned he got him with yesterday.
I was just going to say, is Jerry being good, not causing any trouble today in our chat?
Frank got himself in his own trouble yesterday. If you haven't seen the clip, after we're done, make sure you see the clip of Frank struggling on the current destination of one Stephon Diggs over at Punchlines FN over on YouTube and all social media platforms. All right, put the football on fire here, Sean. Go ahead. Here we go. Oh, my God. Get him out of the studio. Get him out of the studio. What is happening back there?
Don't say anything bad about
what is going on back there?
You can't disrespect that.
We're not on a boat on the Allegheny here, folks. The Steelers are obviously up today, the final team in the AFC North, Alex. Let's go to the I almost just merged the word addition and subtraction into one. But let's go to the adds and subtractions. And Alex, let's just start at the adds because the quarterback room is very, very different. Of course, Kenny Pickett out, traded to Philadelphia. Mason Rudolph also out, signs with the Titans. And now it's replaced with two guys that are better than both of those guys. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Russell Wilson ends up being the largest cap hit in NFL history, released by Denver, signs with Pittsburgh a few days later. And Justin Fields traded for a late-round draft pick. So quarterback room very different there in Pittsburgh, and I think probably for the better.
Absolutely. Especially Kenny Pickett really struggled last year to get any passing offense going for them. I think Justin Fields is rated higher than Russell Wilson at this point in his career. I think he has a higher ceiling. I will use that for this instant. But yeah, I think that was a very good move on them. Not much with Russell Wilson, right? They got him for a very cheap price. If it doesn't work out, they can try out Justin Fields.
So I want to bring up the one thing first, where Russell Wilson hasn't practiced the first 2 days. He's dealing apparently with a calf strain. It looked like he had cleats on today, but he had very, very cleat-looking Nikes on instead. So he's not going to practice today for the second consecutive day. You know, I'll just say this more so than anything, and it's interesting that you just said that, with Fields at this point being rated higher than Russ. And I'm in the same camp, but we talked about this before the show. The Steelers have a very low floor to me, where their bottom is 7 wins.
Very high floor.
Sorry, yes, thank you. Sorry, 100%. High floor. They're not going to bottom out and be like a 4, like everything goes wrong 4 and like that's not going to happen. If everything goes wrong, their floor is high that they end up with 7. And 8 feels like a realistic potential floor as well. If Justin Fields and Russell Wilson are an improvement over what they had last year, which is expected. Also, Arthur Smith is now the offensive coordinator. I know a lot of people got on Arthur in Atlanta. He's
for
much better
reason.
than the garbage Pittsburgh has had the last few years with Matt Canada. So I expect an improvement on offense. It's just a matter of, does Russell Wilson win this job? And if Russell Wilson does win this job, if he is ineffective, will there be a willingness to bench him for Fields a little bit quicker than you would expect normally? Because remember, Russell Wilson's on the veterans minimum here in Pittsburgh. They're paying him basically nothing.
Right.
Because Denver's paying the boatload of his salary for cutting him, Alex.
It's funny because this team has had such a loyalty to their quarterbacks with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph even, but I do think it will be a pretty quick switch if it's not going well. And saying Justin Fields has a higher ceiling, I guess that's I kind of misspoke as well, because if we see the Russell Wilson version of his best in Seattle and he has one good year left, that could be outstanding, and Justin Fields could never get a chance. Of course, we have seen the downfall of him, especially going to the Broncos. But Arthur Smith, we always talk about it. Some guys are just better coordinators than head coaches. So I do think he'll be a good fit here as long as he plays the correct players and gives them the most time, which was a big thing in Atlanta.
Yeah, that is important. Thankfully, no Bijan Robinson on the roster for him to not play instead of guys who are way worse than him. By the way, we had a super chat. Thanks as always. If you happen to be in the chat, especially if super chat, Frank the Blade with Justin Fields is better than Tua. Yeah, I'm not 100% there on that, but hey, maybe by the end of the year, possible.
Justin Fields worries me a little bit. He did have a pretty high interception rate the last few years, but he did get better each year. 2013, of course, we don't have as big of a sample size. He only played 13 games, but 9 interceptions to his 16 touchdowns there. I'd like to see him succeed. I really am rooting for Justin Fields. He didn't have the skill positions that now Caleb Williams has in Chicago. So if this is a good landing spot for him, and he does have a pretty good surrounding cast with skill positions, so should be interesting with this team.
I will say from the Fields front on this, just going through all this, I think the variance is much wider. We talked about this with other circumstances. The Fields variance is much wider than the Russell Wilson variance. I think you could justify an extra 2-3 wins if Fields was your starter from week 1 and he performed at the level that some think he can perform at. But going the other way, if we saw the Fields that we saw for the majority of the time in Chicago, yeah, then you're probably looking at that floor maybe being lower to win, maybe being lower to even 2 wins. So that's why, again, I think Russ is going to start. I also think I don't think there's much left in the tank. I think we may see, like last year, we saw some glimpses of old Russ. During that win streak for Denver, Russ played relatively well, and then the wheels came completely off. I wonder, especially now looking at that schedule for Pittsburgh. By the way, win total is 8 for the Steelers. They're the third favorite in the division at 5-1, 20-1 to win it all, 12-1 to win the conference. Look, that schedule the first 4 weeks is relatively manageable, all things considered. They are a small dog on the road against Atlanta week 1. That screams Pittsburgh winning in Atlanta. Like, that's the type of game Tomlin finds to win all the time. They're going to be a favorite in Denver week 2. They're going to be a favorite week 3 at home against the Chargers. And they're going to be a small underdog week 4 against the Colts. Like, if you're in the camp that you think Pittsburgh is going to be a playoff team yet again, got to get out of those first 4 games at 3-1, at worst 2-2. I think the Steelers at this rate, talent-wise, Alex, I think they're the 4th best team in this division. But did you know that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in the National Football League? He always finds a way to win an extra game or 2 at least. And if they win an extra game or 2 at least this year, that's 9 wins from where I think they should be. I think they should be a 7-10, 8-9 team. I think that 8 number that Chris and company have behind us is perfect. Makes it an unbettable number. But Tomlin always exceeds expectations. Pittsburgh being in the playoff chase here, with Russell Wilson having a solid but not good or great season, and the defense being a top 5 unit again, squarely in play. I do have them finishing last right now, but that's because I have the whole division 8-9 or better right now, Alex.
See, it is tough. This is such a hard division, but looking at my grandpa's player ratings, I mean, he does have Pittsburgh very high, and that is just going player by player, stacking it together. You can't take the coaching thing lightly because, I mean, that is a winning culture, and that means a lot. So Mike Tomlin has done a fantastic job, gets the best out of his players. A big concern for me is they do have a very tough schedule. Looking at it compared to win totals, it is the toughest in the league. Going up against opponents, looking at their win totals, I should say. And they also have at least 2, potentially 3 rookies on their offensive line. So high ceiling there. I mean, these guys were drafted very early and should be very good, but it's a very young group to have there protecting your quarterback. They have to also jump ahead from what we saw last year. 28th in points per game, 17.8. 25th in yards per game. They were very good at running the football, 11th in rushing yards, and then 25th in passing yards, hence why they brought in 2 new quarterbacks to try and fix that up. But so those are my concerns on the offensive side. young offensive line, and then really just making that change in that quarterback position to have a better passing game.
It would not, again, high floor for Pittsburgh. I don't think their ceiling's particularly high. I think they're just in a scenario where you peak at 10. 10's probably good enough to make the playoffs, probably. But as we've talked about the last few weeks, Alex, this AFC's strong. 12 of the 16 teams, and Tennessee, if things go right, maybe even 13 of the 16 teams, to me, are capable of making the playoffs this year in the AFC. 10 should be enough if they were to get there, but I'm not sure if 10 would be there. Again, I have Pittsburgh at 8-9. That's the record that I have them at when it's all said and done here.
I will push back just a little bit because there's nothing saying this team can't make it all the way to the Super Bowl, which you kind of are saying. I mean, this team had no business making it to the playoffs last year. They had Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph. Who else stepped in at quarterback? And they still found a way just to make it to the playoffs. So now, with these two quarterbacks, one of them works out. I mean, I love this defense. I think they have the best defensive line. Maybe not linebackers, but it's close in this division, which is, you know how high I am on the other two teams and their defenses in this division. So that's pretty tough to do as well. So, I mean, they could surprise you. You're kind of cramming them in this high floor, but not much to move up from.
There's just too many teams that I see that are just much more talented than this team in the AFC. Just that's where I'm at. And again, like the last sample sizes for both of these quarterbacks, yes, better than what they've had. 100%. Pickett was a bottom 3 starter in the NFL last year. They improved with Mason Rudolph, who we have had more than enough sample size to know is a backup at best. But when it's all said and done, the Chiefs are still much better. I think Houston's better. I think all 3 of these teams in this division are arguably better. Cincinnati and Baltimore better for me. And I think the 3 teams in the AFC East are more talented. It's just a matter of those other 2 teams, honestly, all 3 of them making sure they put it all together in one fell swoop. Tomlin can only take you too far. I think if they make the playoffs, it's a heck of an accomplishment. They're an underdog to make the playoffs still. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little too much. Deep playoff run, maybe steal a game. Yeah, sure, with the right matchup. But again, this is a Pittsburgh team that, again, I still have, even though it's an improved quarterback situation, it all comes back to those guys. What are we getting out of the 2 of them? Even though we expect better, how much better can it possibly get? We don't know.
I also would like some more support for George Pickens here because they get Van Jefferson, comes over with Arthur Smith, finished the year there. And then they did draft Roman Wilson, who I think could be very good in this league. His odds for Offensive Rookie of the Year, if you want to know, 125-1.
Steep.
So hopefully we'll see what he could do for them. But then, a lot did fall on Najee Harris too, running the football. So offensively, yes, of course, there are a ton of AFC teams that are more talented, but great defenses.
Great defensive player, as we know. TJ Watt, co-favorites with Myles Garrett to win Defensive Player of the Year. Frank still thinks that TJ Watt got robbed last year. The poll did not agree with Frank yesterday on Punchlines.
No.
But, it's, again, when you have a great defense, you can exceed expectations. We know that. It just... Again, this is an unbelievably contested conference this year.
Yes,
if
it
Pittsburgh's one of the 7 playoff teams, I won't be stunned. I have them on the outside looking in. You have them on the inside. It sounds like right now, or are we going to save that for next Saturday when we go through the whole AFC?
We'll save it for next Saturday.
Very good. Let's go to our good friend Ryan McCormick, who's here as always, producer of Punchlines. You and I have recovered from the end of the show yesterday, which was, again, if you haven't watched Frank at the end of the show yesterday, please go back and watch it. It was a work of art. And honestly, I think the way Ryan handled it from behind the glass actually contributed to the greatness of the clip. The countdown that it was.
Ryan has gotten very good at that with Frank, and he knows how to extend these to get the best clip.
Frank does it himself.
But it was a great clip. So Alex is not on the show today.
Yes.
She gets a well-deserved Friday afternoon off.
Yes.
Who's on there? I know we have a great comedian coming in.
Yes, John Campanaro. Campanaro,
Yeah.
I believe is how you say it. Is a friend of Keith Lyle, so managed to get him on the show. Has done a good amount of impressions. Has a very good Harry Carey impression that we might get to see today. And then on the show, we will have Post with Punchlines as always, talking about some very fun stuff in the sporting world, looking at Olympics, the no-hitter that happened yesterday, and then some banter that's going to go on between the Chiefs and Raiders this coming season. So you're going to have to tune in at noon for Frank, myself, and John Campanaro.
Yeah, the whole Patrick Mahomes, Kermit the Frog doll that a Raider fan apparently brought into practice yesterday that somehow made its way to the Raiders field. Let's go ahead, Alex.
No fans are allowed there because they're in California and they're within a.
But that's how it happened.
Oh.
It was not a Raider themselves who got it
good.
in. It got down there from
That's good.
a fan. That's Adam Hill reported that story yesterday.
Good. Okay.
But
Interesting. I'll have to look into that.
not smart. Let's just go with that. Not smart. Especially again, the Raiders, as I've mentioned, 12 to 13 teams potentially in the postseason from the AFC. For me, the Raiders not one of those 12 or 13. So get your house in order beforehand. Congratulations, you beat the Chiefs on Christmas once. Whoop-de-doo. You did nothing after that. All right, that's how we're going to end the show today, apparently. Alex, you get it. You're off tomorrow as well. Tom Viola will be on the desk with me for the show. We'll see Vinny Magliulo as well at 9 a.m. Enjoy your day off.
Thank you.
We'll see you again on Tuesday. We'll see Ryan and Frank and John Campanaro at noon here on Punchlines. And also you see Ralph Sirocco tomorrow morning, race day, Las Vegas. We'll see you then. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.